Welcome to Talking Tea with Auntie, where we discuss interesting topics with everyday people. And today's topic is being a woman in a blue-collar industry with our guest, Rhiannon. And now, to your gay auntie. Hello, lovers. Welcome to another episode of Talking Tea with Auntie. And this is a very special episode because we're trying a different format for a few episodes interspersed with our long ones. This is going to be a shorter format episode. Again, if you like our content, feel free to turn that notification bell and like this video so we can get more traction. And as always, I'm so glad you're here. Today is a very special topic that I'm excited to touch on in this sort of format with a singular guest, and it's going to be on blue-collar women. And we have a fantastic lady here who is a trucker. I know, and I love that profession. It makes the United States go round. So we are going to have a wonderful guest by the name of Rhiannon, and I'm excited to have her here. She's been following me on Instagram, and I reached out across to see who wanted to join because, again, I want everyday people to join and share their lives with us. So let's get in this wonderful episode. I'm really grateful you're here, and let's bring on Rhiannon. Hello, Rhiannon. How are you, my love?
Hi, my love. So it's Rhiannon, like
Rhiannon.
the Mac song.
Okay, Rhiannon. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I was wondering how I was going to pronounce that. How was your day, my love?
It has been crazy. I have ran all over. I literally just walked through the door and I'm like, oh my God.
It's okay. Relax.
No, not today.
Well, welcome to Talking Tea with Auntie. Tell me about yourself. How many years young are you? What side of the country are you on?
I am 31 and I live in Indiana in a little town. Well, it's not really little. A decent sized town called Lafayette.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. What got you to becoming a trucker of all things?
Oh my. Okay. So I had moved to Wyoming and there was a program out there for single moms, and one of the programs they put on was for CDL drivers. And I just said, you know what? We're going to do it. And initially the plan was I was going to work for a local company and just haul concrete in a mixer or just like haul aggregate like rock and gravel.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, COVID hit right at the end of my job training. And I didn't want to sit around and not make money. So I decided to hop in an 18-wheeler and take off.
And which do you prefer, long hauling or short hauling?
You know what? I do short haul now. I'm on a home daily route. I see my son every single day, and just it's irreplaceable. Maybe when he's older, I'll do long haul, but I really love my short haul. I really do.
Did you enjoy long haul at all, or what was it like?
Yes. So I did like OTR, like traditional over the road, for about 3 months. And the company that I worked for wanted me to stay out for 6 months at a time, with no home time. And I said, absolutely not. And then I joined another company, which was on dedicated routes. And one of the stops was in my hometown in Wyoming. And I loved that job. I would be out for about 5 days and I would come home for 2. And during the week, if I needed to go home for something, it was nothing to get me a route home. And I really loved that. I got to see Montana, Idaho, oh goodness, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, and into some Southern California locations. But most of the time I was always going to a store that I'd been there before. I was familiar and I just loved it. I saw some really pretty sights in the mountains out there. But it really just ended up coming down to I missed my son.
Yeah.
So.
And on that journey, what was one of the most beautiful things you got to see? Because I'm sure you saw most of that section of the United States.
I don't even know like specific areas, but Montana on I-15 North, oh my goodness, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then heading into Colorado through central and eastern Utah, it's breathtaking. It really is. I would not change the experience that I got for anything.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds beautiful. What did you do before you became a truck driver?
Kind of just odds and ends. When I moved to Wyoming, I was a concrete dispatcher for the company that I was going to run a mixer for. Prior to that, honestly, my most experience was managing a McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I definitely, it was a huge change of pace, but I love trucking. Like, I am super passionate about it. Like, I was so excited when I saw you post on Instagram that you wanted to interview blue collar women, and I was like, oh, I have to. Like, I have to hop onto this.
I'm so glad you did it because I always found it a very interesting, a good topic because my mom's kind of always cleaned houses, and I think it's something we don't touch on enough. And
No.
able to have that discussion. And so I think what has been one of the trials that you've had to endure as being a woman, blue collar woman in the truck driving industry?
So, I mean, honestly, the biggest trial has just been not being home with my son. I mean, trucking, even on my local route, does require a lot of hours. I typically work a 12-hour day.
Oh my God.
12 to 14. And before I left Wyoming, I was on a line haul route for FedEx hauling doubles. And it was still about a 12-hour shift. And that's just part of it. But I still get to come home at like a decent hour at night, see my son. I get to do bath time, dinner time, bedtime. You know, he's 4, and he just thinks it's the coolest thing in the world that mommy drives in trucky. And his dad is really, I mean, holding the show together as far as being home with him. He works at a steel company locally, and he works an 8-hour shift. I mean, he's essentially Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
Then it is hard, you know, to be like, okay, I'm the one that's putting in the 12 hours. I'm not home doing like my womanly thing, because I think I do identify like as divinely feminine.
Yeah.
I love doing the mom thing. I like, nothing gives me more joy, but at the same time, I love my job, you know, so finding that work home balance is a struggle sometimes, but I still wouldn't change it.
Oh, and so has there been any issues in regards to the amount of time in regards to a marriage or relationship? In that kind of switch of role reversal in terms of work? I mean, it isn't, in all honesty, but considering that you want that divine feminine energy and power, has that really impacted your husband or partner in any way? Or are y'all strong as a rock?
Yeah, I mean, really, we do this, like, it's dynamic.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He makes it super easy. Like, even if I come home like late and, you know, dinner's kind of cold, he'll be like, I'll warm it up for you. And then I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, we'll eat. Oh, or if they've already eaten, you know, they'll sit at the table with me. And then, like, he'll go do bath time and I'll clean up the kitchen. And usually he's the one that, you know, washes and dries the clothes, and then I'll fold them on the weekend. It's amazing how dynamic it is, and how there's just like no qualms, really. Yeah.
And so have you seen any other women truck drivers often or at all in your area or in general?
Yeah, I actually do work with a few women. I think I work with one about my age, and then there's an older lady who's probably nearing 60. I mean, we're still few and far between, but I mean, that's okay. I do, though, like, when I see women struggling, like, to identify with a career, or, you know, they're like, you know, I'm in a dead-end job, I'm like, go get that CDL. That is a golden ticket. It really is.
Especially because we need it, especially now with how we had the box down of our commerce. Here in Texas, there was a whole kerfuffle, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, but we really are very short on truckers. We need, you know, and I was thinking about this. This is really weird. Like when we first started talking about, getting on the Zoom call together and interviewing, I'm like, we need people in trade. We need people in trade work because the baby boomer generation is retiring and there's nobody to replace them. Like we really need it. And anytime that I see a woman who like might be a single mom or is a mom and they're married, I'm like, go get that CDL. Like I know it's nerve-wracking because it is really a male-dominated industry, but I have never one time had anybody disrespect me or look down on me because I was a woman. If anything, we're saluted a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's really appreciated. I've gotten a lot of help out there from, your old heads in the industry, and any kind of advice that they can give me, I take graciously into heart. Just they know what they're talking about and they've been in my shoes. So
100%. And that is, I love that's that full sense of community within the industry. I know I have patrons over here. I asked my patrons to ask questions.
So this morning, I was scrolling TikTok and I saw an older video that you posted saying that you have a Schmatreon.
I do.
And I became a Patreon this morning.
Oh my goodness!
And I read the comments, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I actually took a screenshot and like I sent it to my mom, and I was like, "Look, there's my picture." I've been so excited about this all week. Like, I told my parents, some friends. I'm like, "You need to look out for this." Like, when it all gets done and edited and ready to post to your podcast page, I'm like, I'm sharing this on Facebook. Like, this is so cool. But I just thought it was the coolest thing that people actually commented and were like, I want to know this. And I'm like, yes, like they're genuinely interested. Like, yes.
Well, I appreciate you for becoming a patron. And to the people
course.
watching in the eventual release of this, if you want to be able to ask questions of my patrons, of my guests here on Talking Tea with Auntie, you can become a patron for as low as $3 a month at patreon.com/Shiny Nathan. And so that's the little plug. And actually, this was the most questions I've had on a topic so far. So it is evidently people want answers, have questions about this. I think
women are just such a unicorn in trucking, like, or people think that they are. And we're really, we are, but we're not.
Yeah.
There are a lot of women that are out here hardworking. This is their career, this is their passion. And I'm like, we're out here. We really are.
That's amazing. And I love that. Are there more women going into the industry bit by bit?
I think so. I think it's probably a lot of younger women. I know at one point that I kind of flirted with the idea of getting my CDL, but I was like 22. And the only thing that really terrified me about it was being away from my family.
Yeah.
But at 22, I didn't have a child. The world would have been my oyster. And, I wish that I would have gone into it earlier and just pursued what I wanted to do. But I didn't. And, things fell into place how they were supposed to, apparently. To me, everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I think we're coming up in the industry. It's a thing.
I'm glad.
I think we'll see more women.
I'm glad because I know there's more women getting into the trades in general, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Trade work is fantastic work, and we do need more people in the trades.
We do. I know. I went to school with a girl who's actually a welder, and she holds a union card, and I'm like, get it. Like she welds rail cars and makes bank.
That is
awesome. She loves what she does. She's like, nobody gives me crap because I'm a woman. I've never been doubted because I'm a woman. And I'm like, no one's doubted me ever either. So.
Oh, that's refreshing to hear. And it makes me so happy.
Yes.
To know that. And so let's get to the patrons real quick, because they have better questions than I could ask. Time. So we'll go with Ernest first. Ernest asks, have you had more opportunities open up for you since the pandemic?
I can't really answer that since I came into the industry at the pandemic. But what I have noticed is there's just jobs everywhere. Every company needs a driver or 2 or 10. I mean, it was a luck of the draw that I actually got this job in the position that I got. Because typically they're not hiring for a specific route and they'll hire you as a floater initially. So you might get hours and you might not. I mean, this is a big company in our town and in our state, and we haul Subaru parts. You know, it's kind
wow.
of I would almost say like it's kind of lucrative in our area.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that there's jobs everywhere. You know, if any truck driver is looking, they'll have 10 people on them immediately.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
And you see how many trucks are here in Texas. I see how many trucks are every day. It's just
Yeah.
constant. The logistics involved in all of that. I'm like, I'm not going to think too hard about it, but damn.
Yeah. There's so much involved, and I'm just glad that I'm the driver.
So I guess an interesting question that I just came up with, and we'll get back to the patron questions, is how significantly different is it from driving a regular car to then driving this behemoth of a land train?
Okay, I love this question because I drive a tiny little Mercedes sedan, like it's a 4-door coupe. I drive this tiny little car, and then I get in that big truck, and I'm like, oh yeah. But the big difference is it's an enormous difference. I mean, I turn my car like I am driving a truck, so I turn wide, and I'm like, what are you doing? I remember my mom had picked me up from my truck one day after parking it, so I could come home from my 34 off, and turned onto a road, and I swung real wide, and she's like, "There's not a trailer behind you." And I'm like, my bad. So I just kind of out here looking like I'm swerving and drunk, and I'm like, I'm used to 53 feet behind me, like. But I mean, I don't even know. Like in a truck, you can see so much further in front of you. So getting in my car sometimes, in traffic, is annoying because I'm like, I can't see anything. Like I'm not, 10 feet in the air, unable, to see everything. Like I want to know what's going on, like a mile ahead of me. But I mean, otherwise, it's really not bad. It's not really all that different. I mean, other than the fact that like when I'm in a truck with a trailer, like I have to plan to stop for the trailer. And that's a wild thing to get used to. I mean, one of my secondary runs, you go through about 10 miles of nothing but stoplights. And I'm like, I have to learn to time these stoplights because if I'm too heavy and I'm rolling at close to the speed limit, I'm not going to make it. If it turns yellow on me, I'm not going to be able to stop.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm used to stopping on a dime in my car. I'm like, oh, look, I can stop in 5 feet. And in my truck, I'm like, that's funny. Like, you cannot stop on a dime even at 5 miles an hour. So.
Oh my God. That must be a little nerve-wracking for other people.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, you see a lot of people like on the interstate here that are scared to get by a semi, and I'm like, you're fine. Like, there are a lot of people who will sit, like, so on a truck, the right side is considered your blind side. Mm-hmm. We have an enormous blind spot. In the door of our cab on the right-hand side is probably the worst place for a small car or just a normal pedestrian car to sit. I can't see you, and then, and it's a pet peeve of mine, when people will sit in the trailer and just kind of just stay there. Don't just go around me. Like, I know you want to go around me, and I know you're scared, and I know you think that you're going to make a move and I'm going to jerk my wheel. I'm not. I see you. I know you're there. Go. and I hate to make it sound like people just annoy me. They don't, like, but it's better if you just pass us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to keep watching my mirrors and hope and pray you don't swing underneath my trailer.
Yeah.
Because you're not paying attention. So I'm just like, just go. Please. Please, for the love of God.
Just go. That sounds really nerve-wracking. I don't know if I probably could, but I've sat in an 18-wheeler before because a cousin of ours was a long hauler and he would let us sit in it. And then especially for some time he wasn't hauling it, so we'd play in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I learned on a manual truck, and a lot of people like are intimidated because, you know, we all basically drive automatic vehicles. And I'm like, but like, it's really not hard to learn, and once you learn, you've got it. You've got it down. But now I drive an automatic truck, and if I were to hop back in a manual, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't have a clue. Like, there's a third pedal. I don't want to do it.
I want the machine to do it for me like it should.
Please. It's 2023. We can do this. No, I mean, my company, they actually just got rid of the last 3 manual trucks that they had. And it's becoming a dying thing to have a manual. Like, you actually have to custom order from, you know, your Peterbilt or your Freightliner, and it usually costs more to put the manual in it.
Oh, really?
Than it does to come out with an automatic. Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't, because I know it's usually cheaper to get a manual.
Right.
Every day.
The tables have turned, and very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
That's very interesting. I wonder what do you have any idea why they're doing that, or is it more just fuel efficient?
So yes, it is more fuel efficient. I think a lot of the newer trucks have, like, it's called an intelligent powertrain. It can sense when you're going downhill, and it will actually shift you into neutral and let you coast, and you'll get better fuel mileage. And then I'm not sure the rest of it. I just know that that's what my trucks do that I drive.
Yeah.
I mean, I slip seat, so I'm not always in the same, but that's what they do. Like, they'll coast downhill. They'll shift down at opportune times when you're going uphill to accommodate for your load, your weight, rather than running your RPMs really high and burning more fuel. And I know another thing, a lot of companies wanted to go to the automatics because they would burn through clutches and, you know, 100,000 miles, and that's nothing on a semi.
Oh,
I mean, your truck is really not broken into like 250,000.
Yeah.
And a clutch is a lot of money and a lot of time down to fix it. So I know that does help. I mean, also, I think that manual or automatic trucks have really allowed more people to be less nervous about truck driving and gone into truck driving. Maybe because, and this is just me, I mean, I did learn on a manual, but the last thing I would want to do in the wintertime is worry about downshifting and upshifting in the middle of a blizzard.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I used to haul through Wyoming. I used to haul doubles through Wyoming every night through all kinds of blizzards. And I'm like, the last thing I would ever want to do is worry about shifting. So I'm really glad to be in an automatic.
Oh, good.
I just could never, like, I just couldn't imagine. You're worried about everything else, you know. So I think that that's a big reason as well. Honestly, I don't know, just more demand, I suppose. But
yeah,
it's not bad.
Sense. I mean, it all makes sense in the long run. And so I'm going to move on over to our next question from a patron, from Beth Leigh Fox. And she says, I really admire female truckers and truckers in general, but it's been a long journey since the trucker hero cowboys of the 70s. What is it really like for you these days? There's been a lot of bad press. Don't have to get into details, but what has it been like for you?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm certainly not a cowboy hero trucker. Now, I do my job. You know, that's about it. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, it's just my day job now. I mean, trucking is a culture in and of itself, and when you're hauling OTR, long haul, you know, it does really become your life. That's your home away from home. I mean, but honestly, like, for me, I just feel like I'm doing a job and I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
But that's really it. But I mean, there are still your cowboy hero truckers out there. I love it. I love seeing their old long-nosed Peterbilts with their cattle trailers going 95 down the highway. I love it. And you know that they're gonna get out. They're old and haggard. They love that truck. They've had it for 30 years. It's theirs. And they love their job and they're passionate about what they do and the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I mean, I just hope to be able to carry on that passion, for the next 30 years.
Do you think that'll benefit you with your own owned truck?
I want to.
Yeah?
I want to own my own truck. I've looked online, some used Peterbilts that are still in good condition. I'm like, I don't have $160,000, but God, I'd love to. I really would. I mean, I think that's like my 10 or 15-year goal is going to be get my own truck, perhaps let somebody else drive, get a few drivers, just run a small company and just enjoy it.
That would be wonderful.
Enjoy still being in the industry, but not doing the work.
Yeah. And so the next question from Heather is asking, what is your favorite part of being a trucker? And what is your least favorite part of being a trucker? And any safety tips for women living in their cars, vans, and visiting truck stops for fuel, food, and or showers? It's a 3-parter.
Oh my.
I know.
Okay, might have to revisit like the second and third part.
Okay.
My favorite part about being a trucker, everything. I love getting in my big bad truckie in the morning, starting it up and hearing that engine, knowing that there are people that look up to me. I mean, I hope to be a beacon of hope for a little girl one day that sees me rolling in her town that's like, I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for my son as well. I really hope to use it as to set an example for him that trade is good work, that, being passionate about your work is number one, honestly. But everything. God, I love everything about my job.
I love that. I love that.
I don't even know how to put it. Like I know I'm like green in the industry, but I don't foresee my passion dying for it. Like there's just nothing that excites me more than talking about trucks. My least favorite part is probably it's just the hours.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I get back from my first run at like 2 p.m. my time, and I know based on the next run that they give me what time I'll be home, and it is almost always going to be a 12-hour shift.
Mm-hmm.
And some days it's hard, and I mean I've pulled a few 14s as well. I can work up to 14 hours legally. It's just demanding of your time, but again, it comes with the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean that's really it that I don't like. I mean, other than the cold weather and being out in it, but I don't think anybody likes that.
No.
And let me add to my favorite part. I love the community of truckers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have your few that, of course, just have nothing good to say about anybody and everybody. But for the most part, we all really look out for one another. I think it's amazing, to watch other drivers help others, to help another driver. A lot of us, like back when I was doing my dedicated runs, I would have to park in a truck stop, and there were so many people who would help me back up after a long night.
Mm-hmm.
They just, hey, I'll get out and spot you. And that, that feels good. It feels good that you're seen. And then safety tips for people living in cars, vans.
Yeah, at truck stops.
What was that third part?
The third part is any safety tips for women living in their cars, vans, and visiting truck stops for fuel, food, and or showers.
Probably mostly don't park in a dark area. Is a big safety tip. For me in my truck, I could actually wrap my seat belts around the door handles, and that acts as like a secondary lock.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like to park where I'm highly visible to the building. There's light, and just I never really was super worried about anybody trying to hurt me or anything, but I would just always watch over my shoulder, be aware of what's around you.
Yeah.
For sure. And visiting truck stops for fuel, food, and showers. I'm not sure how to answer that one. Most of your big truck stops have showers.
Mm-hmm.
Love's is the best.
Yes,
I love Love's. If somebody's like traveling like the van life kind of deal, get rewards cards for these fuel stops.
Yeah.
They'll pay off. I mean, you'll get showers racked up that are free. You can get deals on drinks and food. Some Loves do provide like laundry facilities.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay to, kind of like a laundromat, but they're in there and they're available, and they usually do have soap and dryer sheets available. If you're needing that, definitely look ahead. The Loves app is great for showing you what stores are in your area and what they provide as far as amenities. Definitely, yeah. Rewards cards though.
I love Loves. I've slept in the back of my car in plenty of Loves because I road trip regularly. And so I'll just pull into a Loves, and there's always a group of other cars of people sleeping there the night.
Yep.
Always. So I'll just like park there, get my little bedding in the back of my little hatchback, and then just...
I feel like Loves has just always been like the safest. You always have somebody there as well.
Yeah.
There's always somebody in the lot,
There's always people walking around doing stuff. At 3 in the morning, I remember waking up at a Loves near the Grand Canyon. There were still people just out and about at like 5 in the morning. I was like, okay, let's get going. Or like 3 even. So I've never felt unsafe at a Loves personally.
Me either. The only time that I've ever felt unsafe at a truck stop was a one that I usually went to when I would go down to Las Vegas. It was a TA. I was pretty close to the strip, and they actually had armed security in the lot, in the building, just because it's Las Vegas. I mean, but I would be more conscientious at that time, like definitely parking near light, definitely double locking my doors, trying not to get out of my truck until daylight. Because you just never know. But
yeah.
From there, I guess I just have really never felt unsafe.
Yeah.
I'm a big kid. gonna be hard to take me down, but others aren't.
I love it. And so then we go into Allie McDowell. Asks, are women truckers just as scandalous as some men are while being gone for various amounts of time? I've heard some crazy stories of women trucker husbands having side pieces and living different lives while on the road.
I saw this earlier and I just laughed. Comment. So, in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know a lot of other women who truck like long haul. Mm-hmm. Now, do I know men who truck long haul and that do that? Yes. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, a scandalous person is a scandalous person, regardless of what their gender identity is. It doesn't matter if they're going to cheat, if they're going to have multiple women or men or partners in general. It's just based on their personality. Really, that's my opinion on that one.
I actually agree with that sentiment as well. I agree with that as well. And so I guess we'll go on to Susan Lynn. And she asks, what is it like in your union if you are part of one? And what has the impact been like since they changed the structure of how truckers are paid?
So I'm actually not union. I don't think that's a super common thing anymore to be a Teamster.
Okay.
But I came into the trucking industry getting paid cents per mile. My first company paid me 17 cents a mile. That was also a defining factor, other than the wanting me to be out for 6 months at a time. You weren't making money.
Okay.
You weren't making money. My second company, which ended up actually being Swift, and so many people give them crap, and say you're dumb if you work for Swift, you're incapable. I actually loved Swift. That was my dedicated route job. I loved it. I think honestly, a job is what you make it. They paid me 39 cents a mile, that's actually pretty good for somebody who had limited or no experience. Mm-hmm. And then I worked for a FedEx contractor as well, which was a home daily route, but it was still 12 hours. And I did get paid per mile. I got paid per stop, and then some other little bonuses. And I would make like a set amount per day, which was really good. I got paid really well to do that. And now I'm actually a paid hourly driver.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And the way they pay is my first route is X amount of dollars per hour, and then anything after that is $1 additional an hour. So I love this job. I mean, you feel very appreciated by these people. Our pay is really good. No more than it costs to live in Indiana. I'm making money. I get overtime after 40. I mean, I'm at 40 by midday on Thursday, or if not Thursday when I start.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just love my job. But I don't know. Like, I don't know of any other way that drivers were paid other than cents per mile, or per the mile, whatever. But I think that it can be a deterrent for people, because they understand that they're making this their primary life and being away from their family. And if you don't pay enough per mile, then it's a no.
Yeah.
You need to be paid what you're worth, in my opinion. So.
And the logistics industry is very, very worth a lot. It keeps us moving.
It is. Yes, it is. And I can understand drivers saying, you know what, I've got 10 years under my belt. 30 cents a mile isn't going to cut it. I can see that. But there are so many companies that pay more. There's so many opportunities out there. Sometimes you might have to dig a little deeper, but there's so many that pay well.
That's wonderful. I think that more companies should pay well, especially what keeps our country afloat, and all us having things.
Right. And in my opinion, if you invest in your people, they'll invest in you. So
100% agree.
Don't just underpay your people because you want profit. It doesn't do you
eventually
any good. You're gonna lose all your good employees. And I mean, I love my job. I mean, I see the same people every day. We work all pretty much the same hours. We're all pretty much a 12-hour day, and we work hard. And I love it. Like, I'm still just very enamored with the industry.
Oh, I love that. I hope you never lose that enamorment and joy in it.
I hope not either. I mean, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week as well when you had reached out, is I am actually where I wanted to be before I wanted to be here. Like, I reached my goal earlier than what I wanted. I wanted to be in a home daily position before my son was 5, and he just turned 4. Like, I'm here. Like, it hit me, and I was like, wow, like, you actually have a lot to be thankful for. And my resume says a lot for me, fortunately, and I'm not one to toot my own horn. So a couple weeks ago, my FedEx contractor, he's the guy that owns the company that I used to haul for in Wyoming, he actually called me just to ask how I was.
Oh.
And I was actually pulling into my shipper on my first run, and I was like, Daryl Anderson. I was like, I don't work for you. But he's just like, hey, just seeing how you were. Like, that made me feel so good. Like, I think I smiled for a week. Honestly. I did. Like, it just makes me proud. Like, I think trucking in general is just something that somebody can be so proud of. Because it really is, it's you against you most of the time.
Yeah.
Learning, all the learning curves. And it just can do so many things for people. So, like, any woman looking to make a career change, or like just a career in general, I love to suggest trucking. Honestly,
I love it. And honestly, it sounds like it'd be a perfect fit. And we have a fantastic question that's a little fun, and I think it associates more to your long haul days. Is what strategy did you use to prevent from disassociating or becoming distracted while you were driving for long periods of time?
Okay, so this is a great one. So I have ADHD, the inattentive.
Yeah.
So I'm medicated, but a lot of the time, what would keep me from disassociating would be, just listen to music, look at your surroundings, just appreciate what you see, because there's just so much beauty out there. That's what I would do. There's just so many times where I would just look, out my desk window, which is, my truck, and I'm just like, this is just beautiful. Like, the creation of God is just gorgeous. Like, more people should be able to be out here, and see the things that we see every day. And it just made me so appreciative, But I mean, I don't know. I struggle some days. Some days my ADD is like, not today. We're gonna look at everything. But one big strategy for truckers is we learn to scan our mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds, and that is a big help for me. It keeps me kind of focused on what's going on, because let's face it, when you're driving 10-11 hours a day, you are going to space out. But doing those mirror checks at least kind of keeps you in line a little bit. But yeah, I remember seeing that question and I was like, oh dear God. Nothing really, unless my meds act right that day.
I've actually for me, because I've done several long trips where I don't really stop. Like, I rarely stop. I did one from Georgia back. From here to Georgia, I stopped in New Orleans and then carried on the next day. But leaving Savannah, Georgia, I was like, no, I want to get home. I miss my cat. And it's a 16-hour drive from Savannah, Georgia to San Antonio. And I did it. But the thing is, it felt so fast because there was always something to see on the route, like a town or the scenery. And I listened to audiobooks the whole way. Unlike driving from here in Central Texas to like Colorado, and 10 hours of that is West Texas, and it's nothing. It's nothing until you hit New Mexico. Then New Mexico into Colorado, it's like, oh, pretty. But West Texas is just like, I'm dying inside. I'm dying. Yeah. There's nothing to see.
My stepdad's parents live in Houston, and went from Wyoming down to Houston, and I was like, dear God, there's nothing like that. Like, I think we got to Amarillo.
Oh God!
Finally, there was something to look at, and I was like, "Holy God!"
That's what people think of Texas when they think of Texas.
It's a rough time. So we stopped in Amarillo that night, and then the next day, I think we still had another 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I cannot do this again of not looking at anything.
Yeah,
like, no, nothing to look at.
Like, for the first hour and a half leaving San Antonio, getting out of San Antonio, it's beautiful, hill country. But then it starts getting to nothing.
Flatland.
Flatland and red. And I just remember laughing, red and yellow, and I just like, oh. And it's worse coming through at night, because I came back from Denver one time and I was like, oh, okay. There's the only way to get to San Antonio, there's no major highway. So you go through those backcountry roads till you hit Amarillo. So the entire...
That's how we went, was those backcountry roads. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, there's
are we gonna die?
Are we gonna hit something? Like, David, don't fall asleep. Like, if you need me to drive, I'll drive.
And I'm right here with one of my other patrons. I guess there's more an appreciation. Tomboy Jock, who actually is always in my live, it says, love it when we see women challenge those spaces that were reserved for our male counterparts. I was a CO at a Supermax prison.
I saw that and I was like, crazy. Like, I cannot imagine being a woman at a prison in general, and a Supermax at that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I could not.
That's really challenging spaces right there.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I cannot imagine.
Neither could I.
But back to the disassociation question. When I did do long haul, and especially during my dedicated route times, I would find places to pull over and like go pee, get a drink, get a snack, just to keep my mind fresh. Or try, rest areas, at this exit or this little truck stop that's off the beaten path, like just south of Salt Lake, but like 100 miles out of Vegas, whatever. it just, you got to trip plan and plan
Oh
a
yeah.
stop, because you absolutely cannot just keep driving through that. Your brain will just just shit the bed. But yeah, oh my goodness, seeing that comment about Supermax, like I'm still kind of in awe about that, because I just cannot imagine.
Neither
Like,
could I.
you're strong, like
Yeah.
yeah, you're a
Boy,
strong
John,
woman.
you're very strong, baby. On that note, I want to. So, as we get ready to go from this episode, where would you recommend other women finding to get these CDL licenses to join the trucking industry if they wanted to?
So a lot of large companies will train you, and then you have to sign a contract and work for them for X amount of time. Like it's usually a year, but then your CDL is scot-free. My biggest suggestion is join Swift. My stepdad actually got his CDL through Swift after I had already started working there and had left and gone to FedEx and ran on the same account. Swift will pay you, I think it's 45 cents a mile starting.
Okay.
Paid $800 a week in training. I just don't think any schools or teaching companies can compare to that. I really don't. But otherwise, now to get a Class A, the DOT has ruled that you have to go through an accredited school. And that's usually a large cost out of pocket.
Okay.
So the best route is going to be a teaching company.
Okay. Wonderful.
Sure.
Okay, so check out Swift or another teaching company if you would like to get your CDL. And on that note, Rhiannon, correct, I got it right this time.
Rhiannon.
I said it, I had Rhiannon, I was like, is that the way I said it the first time? Or it was the other way I said it the first time? Hey, Rhiannon, I apologize, and thank you for being here for this.
Of course, thank you for having me. Like, this was great.
I loved it. And so thank you so much. It was beyond a pleasure to meet you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're off today.
I am. Thankfully.
Well, I will let you get back to your beautiful day off and your family, and give my love to them, darling.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And it was such a pleasure to meet you as well.
It was a pleasure to meet you, my love. You take care. Bye. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Talking to You with Auntie. It really means the world to me. And if you liked this shorter form content or would like it much shorter, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, a special thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and another very special shout out to those who asked questions of my guest today. Ernest, Beth Leigh Fox, Heather, Allie McDowell, Susan Lynn, Shira Levi, and Tomboy Jock Chris. If you would like to ask any questions of our guests on the next episode, feel free to become a patron on my Patreon for as low as $3 a month. That's at patreon.com/Shining Nathan. Also, I would like to thank Rhiannon for being a guest on this show and offering to tell her story. It really does mean the world to have people like her who are willing to open up about their interests, loves, careers, and much, much more to give you a glimpse into their wonderful and diverse lives. Like I always say, everybody's life is interesting if you just look a little bit deeper. As always, I'm so happy that all of you are here, and I love every single one of you. Y'all take care, remember to drink some water, and as always, we will continue doing these every other Monday or every Monday as we can see fit. The next episode hasn't been determined yet, but I'm currently shopping around for ideas, and I'm excited for when the next one comes up. As always, I love you, and all of you take care. And remember, drink your water.